A human being enters the world with almost zero ability to survive on its own. At day 0, a newborn can't lift its own head, can't focus its eyes past a few inches, and possesses no physical control over its limbs. Over the next 730 days, the first 2 years of life, that infant undergoes the most concentrated period of brain development in the human lifespan. They start with only one involuntary reflex to communicate: crying. From that baseline, they must learn to interpret light, process sound, fight gravity, and navigate a complex emotional landscape. This diagram outlines how the process unfolds. To reach basic autonomy, the child matures along 3 separate biological tracks simultaneously: physical growth, cognitive processing, and emotional regulation. The 730-day window is a highly synchronized race to build the core components of a functioning human interface. The initial hurdle in the first 3 months is simply fighting gravity. When placed on their stomach for tummy time, infants strain to lift their heads, establishing their very first elements of physical control. Around week 8, the infant's gaze shifts. The social smile emerges, a deliberate act of eye contact and facial recognition that signals the brain is moving beyond involuntary muscle twitches. At this stage, communication remains tied to immediate biological needs. If they are hungry or tired, they cry, using the only tool currently available to them. By months 4 through 6, the physical track accelerates. The core strength built during those early weeks allows the baby to sit upright with support and physically roll over to change their own view of the room. This newly stable core frees up their arms. Random flailing turns into fine motor intent. The brain calculates the distance to an object, directs the arm to reach out, and commands fingers to grasp it. At the same time, the vocal cords begin active experimentation. Reflexive crying begins to yield to deliberate babbling, testing out consonant sounds like baba and da-da. In just half a year, the foundational systems are active. The infant has transitioned from a stationary observer into an explorer, mapping out their immediate radius. Moving into the second half of year 1, the physical track hits a hyper-growth phase. Infants learn to sit completely unsupported, and soon after, push up onto their hands and knees to execute their first forward crawl. Crawling leads to pulling up on furniture. By the time they approach 12 months, they are testing their balance on 2 feet, preparing the mechanics required for their first independent steps. The cognitive track keeps pace with this mobility. Random babbling sharpens into target-specific labels. They look directly at a parent and deploy the exact word meant for them. Before they can speak complex words, the brain develops receptive language. As shown here, the child processes the word no and successfully transmits a signal to halt a physical movement, decoding an abstract rule before they can articulate it. At the 365-day mark, the 2 primary tools for human agency, physical mobility and directed communication, are officially functioning. Crossing into year 2, the infant becomes a toddler. Physical independence scales up from hesitant steps to deliberate running, climbing stairs, and navigating uneven terrain. This chart tracks word acquisition. Between months 12 and 24, the child experiences a vocabulary boom. The slow progression of learning single words hits an inflection point, turning into an exponential upward curve of new lexicon. As the volume of words increases, the brain synthesizes them using syntax. Individual nouns and verbs link together to form 2- and 3-word sentences. This grasp of syntax allows them to process and execute multi-step instructions. They can hear a command like pick up the block and put it in the box, decode the sequence, and physically execute both tasks. By month 24, the primary systems for human autonomy, movement, language, and social reasoning are active and integrated. The immobile newborn has become a communicating, moving individual. While the biological sequence of these milestones is universal across our species, the speed at which a child achieves them is highly variable. Taking a first step at 9 months instead of 14 is a function of an individual's biological pacing. These early variances are rarely indicators of future athletic dominance or permanent cognitive deficits. These milestones provide a navigational map. The chronological markers serve as a guide for the journey, distinct from the rigid, grid-like pressure of a calendar. Because every child's nervous system matures at its own unique rhythm, Judging progress against a sibling or a peer creates unnecessary anxiety and ignores the reality of human biology. Supporting this development requires 3 environmental pillars: love, safety, and nutrition. When these are present, the biological miracle of the first 730 days can unfold.